When and how did you discover you had a fetish? Entered this thread to be mildly entertained. Now I have like 10 tabs open in an incognito window. When I was little. When I was 4. My next door neighbor, sup Shayna. I hope you're doing well. Used to tie me to the bedpost. Standing. With her jump rope and tickle me. That one has really stuck with me over the years. When this cute girl in my class called me sir. We were still in high school. But it awoke something in me. Yes. It's called self-respect. IDK if this counts or not, but I remember looking up whether people with glasses kept them on during sex and was reading into glasses fetish thinking it's the weirdest thing ever. I had a very attractive primary school teacher who used to walk around barefoot in fishnets sometimes. She'd also have dark red painted toenails. She broke my brain I think. Watching first Scooby-Doo live action as a 12-year when the gang switch body with one another. Daphne, in Fred's voice. Hey. I can look at myself naked. Yeah, I kinda see what you mean. Okay, as a young lad I remember watching a mostly forgotten cartoon Super 6. And feeling funny about the main character. And later as a slightly older young lad I remember getting much similar feelings for Carmen Sandiego in Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego? Turns out I've got a thing for girls in overly large hats and long coats. Very specific, but we are who we are. Might be too late posting this. I had a close friend in uni that I have been crushing on. One time. I didn't hear him call my name. So he approached me from behind and pulled on my ponytail. Not too rough but enough to get my attention. I was annoyed at first, but when I saw that it was him, I had to take a deep breath. We're married now. I was a little kid watching Ed, and Eddie. One episode the girl version of The Boys, Kanker Sisters, kidnap the boys and tie them down and force them to do romantic stuff. The boys are humiliated the entire time, and that's how I found out I was into being dominated by girls. During foreplay my first girlfriend ran her fingernails down my back pretty roughly, probably copying something she'd seen in a movie. And it was like an electric shock went all the way down my body. I think I said something to the effect of please do that again. But more. The night ended a little bloody and a lot wonderful. Semicolon. Turns out I really like pain. Making toast one day. The toaster popped up and so did I. Hold on, what? An hour from now. When I read back through this thread. When she said do whatever you want to me, so I did. I took her TV. Spouse and I were reading a list of kinks fetishes to our best friend. She didn't know there was a list. Every now and then spouse and I would make eye contact. And now we have more things to explore. I discovered my kink for being burned during sex when my arm had accidentally hit a recently used handheld butane torch by my bed when I was having sex with one of my exes. She started freaking out. But I was seriously turned on by the sensation. Most people thinks it's seriously weird. So I don't ask for someone to do it unless I know they will be comfortable with it. I was 17. At a platonic friend's house. We were play fighting over a remote. He eventually had me pinned. Holding my wrists. Well. I had no idea that was going to be a thing for me. I promptly slept with him and then never talked to him again. But I did then have lots and lots of rough sex for the rest of my life so far. I promptly slept with him. Something about that sentence cracks me up. When my mother made me wear a suit and tie to church. I made a huge ordeal out of it. I didn't want to. I hated it. Later when I hit puberty. I found dressing up aroused me. And more so when I am told to do it. Or forced to. I thought I might be gay because of it for a short while. But I have never been attracted to men. But seeing women in suits, skirts, heels and stockings is a giant turn on for me. And women wearing ties is over the top. But having someone dress me in business or formal clothing is my big fetish. This involves cross-dressing as well. My girlfriend and I were taking a bath together. To get comfortable, we were facing each other. Her foot slipped and landed on my throat. Anyway, I guess I have a foot fetish now. Internet at 16. Found some ahem mature sites that introduced me to free use. I would never act on this fetish for many reasons. But it's pretty much being freely used by multiple men. My BF knows about this fetish and thinks it would be kinda hot in concept. But there's so much about it that would not be cool with me or him when we think about it too much. When I noticed that when I had a crush I would always think a lot about what their feet looked like. I think this gets a bad rep. Late to the thread. I was play fighting with one of my friends when I picked her up and slung her over my shoulder. She did some weird gymnastics move and ended up choking me with her legs. Instant boner. At 16 I went to delete my internet history and realized all the PRN was of pregnant women. I remember trying to get girls to show me their feet when I was in first grade. One of my earliest memories is trying to convince two girls who were visiting to play a game I called Slave where the only rules were they had to take off their shoes and socks. I was laying down in bed after a shower, and my GF walked in topless. Jeans. Shoes. All the rest was in place. Just naked to the waist. She proceeded to give me an amazing BJ to the point of me coming so hard I hit the wall above my head. After that, anytime she kicked around the house stripped to the waist, I was rock hard and ready for action in moments. Edit. My humble gratitude for the silver. Carry on. Pavlov's dong. I ended up on the weird part of DeviantArt when I was 14. There's a normal part of DeviantArt. I had a threesome with my ex. It was a shTTY threesome but I discovered I really have a ver being watched fetish. Edit. Wow, thanks for the love to my SLTTY ass. To answer recurring questions. 1. It was shTTY because it was at the end of our dying relationship and the dude couldn't perform, was in over his head, but I discovered I really liked him watching. 2. I meant exhibitionism. I like when the voyeurs watch. I was in a fetish club called Kit Kat in Berlin when traveling. Someone gave me MDMA to take before we got in and speed to take inside to keep me going the entire night. A girl I danced with saw me take out the mini baggie from my pocket and gestured she wanted some. We went to the bathrooms. It was just one massive unisex filthy bathroom. I gestured if I could do a line off of her bum and I did, then she just kind of pushed into me so I had a face full of asshole. Apparently I love eating the booty and that has continued ever since. She only spoke German, I only spoke English, so there were no words said all night, but that made it hotter. I gestured if I could do a line off of her bum. Now I'm really curious what the gesture for that is. Whenever there are scenes in which a guy was tied up, I felt like wanting to do more, like tickling him. Afterwards, reading smut mangas, most submissive are women. I had always imagined that the MC guy was the one being teased instead. Imagining an arrogant guy submitting to pleasures of tickling and teasing to the point of almost coming and begging for release just feels so good. And the rest is history. Me. Everyone looks better with glasses. Girlfriend. Yeah. Because you have a glasses fetish. Me. I don't have a. Ha. I was 11-12 and I was at a playground after dark. There was this college nearby, so all of the houses nearby had college students renting apartments. On an upper floor of one of the houses, a light went on and this girl got changed. First time I saw breasts. It awoke something in me. Ever since then I've been a fan of the PRN. I never have done anything in real life to act upon it. And I usually try not to watch the real hidden cam stuff. But that's a hard task since the stuff that gets me off is a girl pleasuring herself the way she likes, like nobody is watching, but the fake ver videos usually don't get that part. Also, when I went to my first strip club, a friend bought me a lap dance. So I asked him who was going to be jostling their goodies in my nether regions. He pointed to a rather large Amazonian looking woman. Albeit undoubtedly beautiful. Anyhow, She walks me back to the private room and begins the dance. About 2 minutes in, she loses balance and end up with her hand smashing my balls. Not like violently, but hard pressure. I then asked her to press her heels into them and the rest is history really. I accidentally clicked on a sub called Arglorp. Also my wife enjoys crafting, so sometimes I have a go with her stuff if she's not looking. Hold up, are you saying you're into arts and crafts? When I found out that not everyone got instantly turned on when they got naked, I would always avoid communal showers because I would have a constant boner. For a while I thought it was because I'm gay and there were naked men around me. But I get turned on when nude even by myself. Finally realized I have a bit of an exhibitionist fetish. Haven't acted on it but will definitely explore further. As a teenager in the 90s with no internet, all we had was PRN mags and often you only had one that would have to last a while. In the back were all of the 900 number ads which would advertise a variety of specialized kinks. I remember coming across a few and thinking that's what I like. 8th grade. Girl in front of me was wearing backless shoes and kept dangling them off her toes. I wanted the shoes to fall off so I could see if her toes were painted or not. Username checks out. Had a conversation about our SZOL limit with my then girlfriend. Said we wouldn't last if I had something outlandish like a foot fetish. She was barefoot at the time and I couldn't help but smirk and say no. Nothing like that. That precise moment I knew I had developed an insatiable hunger for feet. Could that be phrased better? Yes. Will it? No. Outlandish like a foot fetish. That sweet summer child. Like many, it's more of a kink than a fetish. But I found myself gravitating towards PRN where the guy is tricked, seduced, or forced into sex coming. I also found myself liking long nails. When it came time to live out these fantasies, I've found them so much hotter in person than in the imagination. Which isn't always the case. Sometimes what seems SI turns out to be painful, awkward, or just meh. But being slowly stroked with long nails all over your body? Or when it gets close to orgasm and she puts her hand on your mouth and makes you come? So hot. And dirty talk makes everything better. I've also found things past subs have really liked, like combining edging with dirty talk. Or asking questions and making it oh so hard for them to answer, are things I love being on the receiving end for. So what started as fantasy turned into exploration and realization. I think you'd like dentists. If you like being asked questions when you can't answer. Dominant women, I have had a thing for them for a long time, and I don't mean ones that yell at you non-stop and treat you like shit. I mean the ones that take charge, call the shots, make you get them off, or they get you off with a dominant way and telling you when you can come. But at the same time they're caring and sweet too. I have a boots fetish. I first discovered it when I came to New York City in winters. I saw Asian girls wearing stockings and boots and found them insanely hot. I later realized through trial and error that it wasn't Asian girls or stockings. It was the boots. I now have a very strong boots fetish. I was in my late 20s when I finally discovered it. Thankfully my wife isn't grossed out by it and indulges into it from time to time. So I was living in a shared house with my then best friend. They were all bikers. They weren't the stereotypical Harley drivers. More like your lanky, if not slightly geeky guys that were just into bikes. Weren't really attracted to any of them, so living with them was pretty chill. But one day I was just in the living room on my laptop with some random TV show on in the background. And they all just appear in full leathers. Helmets still on. Yeah. Sadly it's kind of hard to research that kind of stuff. Because usually searching for leather returns you a bunch of latex shiny stuff. Or full on BDSM. Or worse. When it actually is stuff with motorbike leathers. But they take it all off within 30 seconds. Why? I got way too excited seeing my friends barefoot. I got an unexplained boner as a kid when the female character in the book I was reading got tied up by a giant spider. My ex just straight up called me daddy during sex one day. I stopped, looked her dead in the eyes and said please do that again. Where's the duck guy? I was having intercourse with a woman once and being a gentleman I was trying to not finish early. Slow stroke game was going phenomenal and I was in for a marathon. Until she looked at me and said keep ducking me daddy, and that's when my plan went to shit. I came so ducking hard I caught a leg cramp. I managed to pull out on time but I ducked her bed sheets up. We don't talk. It doesn't really rise to the level of a fetish. But I'm really into people wearing glasses. I discovered this when I was at a swing dance night and saw a guy from across the room. I couldn't fully make out who they were but I thought they were super hot. Then they came over to where I was standing and it turned out to be a guy I was casually dating, except he was wearing glasses. Which he didn't usually. Unrelated. But it's funny how a question about some huge tea that you would think would bring toxicity actually is extremely positive. I like wearing long socks. Like mid-thigh length socks. I don't remember when I found it out but I always feel as duck when I'm in 2/3 of the way up the thigh length socks and nothing else. I'm a guy. Few years ago, ex and I were messing around. And his ring cut my chest and I started bleeding. Don't know why but seeing blood run down my chest really turned me on. I watched Revenge of the Sith and spontaneously came as Ewan McGregor said hello there. A surprise to be sure. I've always been obsessed with catching my man cheating. As in, I realize I want him to cheat. I want to stand in the doorway and watch him go balls deep in another woman. And I really enjoy it when a man tells me why the other woman is better. The more it hurts, the wetter I get. I think I was 6 when the idea first crossed my mind. Watching some TV show or something where the man cheats on the woman. And I kept thinking how I would like that. No real idea why. But I still love it. Be surprised how many people I couldn't get to do it though. So I had a date with a girl after it took me months to build up the courage to call her back when I was in high school. We were sitting in my room watching a movie. She had knee-high rainbow toe socks on. And for some reason pressed the sole of her foot against my cheek. I was done. To this day. Dainty. Flawless feet are a big turn on. There were warning signs when I was young. I used Hypno almost exclusively the first time I played Pokemon. And I remember seeing some movie with vampires that could control people's minds and getting not aroused. Because I was too young. But very interested in the idea. The concept came up a couple times in games of pretend with my cousin. Although oddly enough KAA from Jungle Book never did anything for me. Which might be almost unique among people with this kink. But it wasn't until I discovered mixed stories that I realized just how much I liked erotic mind control. Not something that's even possible in real life of course. But the idea is just so hot. Strong women. I was trying to help someone out of a hole and could lift him. A lady behind me picked me up and moved me out of the way. So she could get him out. You know those hypnotism episodes in cartoons? Those were always my favorites as a kid. Never knew why. One of my fetishes comes directly from childhood. It all goes back to Nickelodeon in the 80s. Starting with Ichtov and Double Dare. It always just seemed so fun. Then once puberty hit and seeing girls getting slimed or pied really aroused my young mind. The pie fight scene in Salute Your Shorts. WWYD. And the Wild and Crazy Kids hostess getting messy really blew my mind. So that's why I have a wet and messy kink. I'm also a crossdresser because a girlfriend dressed me up and it felt awesome. Not a fetish but holy shit. Redheads have got it going on. A while back I was a bit bored with my usual PRN viewing and thought hey, I'm gonna search out something new and just started browsing random category names. I ran across hairy British women and thought hey, this is it. This might be my new thing and started watching. So, it turns out hairy British women is not my thing. Not even a little. I don't even recommend you check it out for yourself. I saw my girl when I was 6 and realized I like girls with ears that stick out. We talking elves or Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman? I can tell a story of when I realized I didn't have a certain fetish. I met this girl and we went home together. One thing led to another and blah blah blah. As it's getting heated, she says hit me in the face. So I sort of limp fish smack her. She says harder. So I go a little harder. Again she says harder. So I go a little bit harder. But I don't really have any strength in it. She says really hit me. And I was like, oh, sorry. You got the wrong guy. Something deep inside of me just wouldn't let me do it with any amount of actual force. She tried more, but when she realized it wasn't gonna happen, we just finished normal. I was in health class. We were doing sex ed. Somehow got talking about prisons. And visitors to prisons not being allowed to wear open-toed shoes because it might be seen as sexual. Cue professor making fun of weirdo prisoners that are into feet and whole class laughs. Dot. I'm into feet. Mine is facials. It was about 20 years ago when I first realized it. My man, I too am male, wanted to see what it would be like to come on my face. I didn't mind. But never thought it would become a regular thing. Not to mention turn me on so much. While I will say that he prefers I swallow, he does give me a good face glazing occasionally. Same. Also on my boobs. I never vocalized my preference before though. Mostly out of embarrassment. My first serious girlfriend was all ass and I was 10,000% okay with that. I accidentally found a link of a really hot Brazilian woman with really hairy armpits getting boned. Damn. And NBSP. Also, the first time I saw a bio student in a PRN. For reasons. My husband playfully swatted my bottom and it just felt good. When Danny DeVito entered the shot. One day I was laying on my bed and thought to myself, man, I wish I was bisexual. I'd have like double the potential partners. And then I though. Maybe I am. Put on some gay PRN and concluded that yes. Yes I am. You still got 2 wishes then. I was watching some BDSM and realized I was fantasizing about being the girl getting tied up and ducked rather than imagining ducking her. I'm still into women but I'm definitely a sub. I get a lot more be curious when I'm horny but I've never had a guy duck me, so I guess I don't really know if I'm into that yet. My fetish is to have a healthy and stable relationship. I have yet to have it fulfilled. I was watching Naruto when I was like 13. For those who don't know, the main character can cast a jutsu. Kind of like a spell. That turns him into a hot girl. Anyway. That's how I found out I was into gender bending. Oh. There was the Kim Possible episode where both Kim and Shigo get brainwashed and obey commands and stuff. That's how I found out I was into mind control stuff. Freaky Friday was my avenue into body swapping. I have lots more that I'm not sure I want to put down.